Well, the number one thing with regard to the casualties in Hamas and the airstrikes is that Hamas has chosen to commit a war crime by putting its military operations in civilian areas. Its intelligence, its military command and control are all based in Gaza City. If Hamas cared about the people of Gaza, it would have its operations in a more rural area, southern Gaza or outside of, Gaza City. Hamas uses Al Shifa Hospital in Gaza City as a command and control center. So Israel's goal here is to degrade Hamas's ability to control its terrorists. I mean, what we just saw was the most horrific episode of terrorism in Israel's almost 80-year history. You had 1,200 men and women and children who were brutalized. Women were disemboweled, had their babies torn from their wombs. You had babies who were set on fire. You had people who were escaping shot and burned. This, Israel has a right to eliminate Hamas once and for all because it has shown that it cannot coexist with Israel, and both sides, need to come to an agreement. Once Hamas is out of the way. I think the Israel cannot avoid a ground operation here because the airstrikes will not neutralize Hamas. Israel should be focused on finding the leaders of Hamas and eliminating them one by one until all of the leaders who are organizing the movement are no longer with us. I believe that the terrorism on part of Hamas is the reason why you have this blockade. I mean, the defenders of Hamas and constantly say that Gaza is an open air prison. Well, what this latest invasion of Israel by Hamas proved is that it's a maximum security prison. Do you want to open all the maximum security prisons across the world and let out the murderers? I mean, that's it. Prove the justification for the blockade. Once Hamas is eliminated, the blockade can be lifted, and Gazans can return to the rest of the world. I mean, I think that it's a telling that Egypt will not let the Gazans into their country. They had an experience in the past decade of Hamas training Muslim Brotherhood fighters who rebranded themselves as the Islamic State, who waged an insurgency against Egypt in the Sinai. In fact, in 2018, an internal ISIS document was captured either by Israel or by Egyptian authorities, showing the extent to which Hamas provided logistical support to the insurgents against Cairo. So Israel does not want to take a chance that the refugee flow is seeded with terrorists who will in turn around and wage a jihad against Cairo. It's a rational concern that they have. It's also telling that no other Arab nation wants to take in these refugees. We don't hear it from Jordan. We don't hear it from Syria. We don't hear it from Saudi Arabia. And for goodness sakes, Qatar, which funds Hamas and has played both sides of the fence on the jihad being waged by its proxy Hamas, is telling. So why Qatar has plenty of open land. So why isn't Qatar inviting the Gazans to move to Qatar? It's something that is kind of interesting. I mean, I recall back in 2018, I confronted the Qatari ambassador who was in charge of Qatar's PR campaign on terrorism about whether Hamas was a terrorist organization. He said, absolutely not. A terrorist organization is an organization that is not a state actor, that targets unarmed civilians for the purpose of creating terror to bring about a change in political situations. I think that we're in an unfortunate situation because Hamas has held Gaza hostage for the past 15 years. Any effort by Gazans to rise up against Hamas has been brutally crushed. Hamas does not recognize the human rights of the people they govern. And if we want to talk about war crimes, we need to hold Hamas just as responsible as Israel for the current situation. I mean, if any of the Arab countries had a hostile neighbor that plotted to kill its people in their marketplaces, would they countenance keeping those people out of their country? Of course they would. I mean, Arabs don't want to see their children being slaughtered by insurgents any more than the Israelis do. So, this, as somebody said back in the Cold War, that the Cold War would end when the Russians loved their children as much as the West did. The Arab-Israeli conflict will end when both sides love their children more than they love, killing each other, because both sides have a lot to gain from each other. The Israelis have technology and have things that they can trade with the Arabs, and Palestinians, if they can work peacefully to coexist with their Jewish neighbors, can become prosperous. I really think that it's something that we need to be thinking about. I mean, of course, both sides committed heinous acts in the past. I mean, the creation of the state of Israel, is a fact of history. We can't go back and undo what happened as a result of the Arab declaration of war on Israel starting in 1947 and the Nakba or anything like that. We have to live in the present. What can we change about the present? How can we, undo what we have been seeing? But in the meantime, Israel has a right to defend itself, has a right to uproot Hamas once and for all, and the Palestinians have a right to a non-corrupt leadership that cares about them and does not exploit them to bring murder and destruction to their Jewish neighbors.